So a while ago I made a video on how we can completely overhaul our recycling system so that we can recycle materials, especially plastics, much more effectively and at a much higher rate. Now today I want to talk about a specific aspect of that, which is known as upcycling. It's undeniable that a significant chunk of household waste that gets thrown away is some form of single-use packaging, usually in the form of plastic. Now, in terms of recycling, when recycling actually happens, what usually happens to these is they get downcycled. They get turned into something of lesser use value than what they were originally used for. What upcycling essentially is taking low value waste items such as single-use containers and other things and turning them into higher value, much more robust long-term use goods. And this can mean turning plastic bottles into door hooks as an example, or even turning other plastic waste into even advanced things like medical prosthetics and things of that nature. Waste plastics in particular can even be recycled into 3D printer filament, where they can serve uses for things like mechanical parts, things like gears and turbines and all sorts that can be used for real-life functional applications. And what enables that is actually the surprising strength of some of the materials that we just throw away on a regular basis. PET, the primary material used in plastic bottles and clear containers and such, is actually quite a strong plastic that is ideal for applications where the part that's being used is put under a lot of stress. In fact, I recommend you check out CNC Kitchen's recent video on pultrusion of PET bottles, because it really shows how a PET bottle turned into a little bit of filament and then used to print parts can actually be pretty strong, as his tests show. In terms of metals, it's pretty much a well-known art at this point that you can take a bunch of aluminium cans from either pop or beer or what have you, and melt them down into a liquid and pour them into a mold and create various things, from art pieces to actual again functional parts. And to do that, all you really need is some kind of furnace. I recommend an induction furnace, those are quite neat, an outdoor space and some other miscellaneous equipment, and you can cast your own metal effectively from waste scraps. Now, there are many benefits of upcycling. It cleans up the environment, or at least keeps it clean from waste and pollution and stuff like that, especially in the case of plastics. It stops them from getting into the ocean, and because there's so much waste plastic that's out there to be used, it's really cheap, and thus recyclable materials and making things out of them is much more cost effective and much more accessible for the DIYer and for people looking into the small batch production of goods. And of course, this all aids in propagating the circular economy, where we actually, instead of using virgin resources, we instead use more and more waste to create new materials and create a kind of cycle. In the case of upcycling, we're taking single-use items and waste items and we're creating out of them much more longer-lasting, long-term use stuff. Something I might actually do is do a little shorts series where I take different sorts of items and explain how to recycle them in terms of what materials they're made of, or likely made of, and how you would go about separating them and recycling them. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed my little insight about upcycling. If you like this video or want to see more, like and subscribe, Take care, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.